AITA for despising my mentally handicapped sister? The title makes me sound horrible, but hear me out. I'm 17M, and this has been my reality for as long as I can remember. My sister, at just 12F, is severely autistic. She's the kind of person who needs attention almost every minute of the day. You can't leave her alone. She's nonverbal, completely dependent, and I have to admit, it's tough. Despite her young age, she's incredibly destructive and violent. She doesn't understand her own strength or the consequences of her actions, so she ends up destroying anything she can get her hands on. And here's the hardest part to admit. I hate her for it. I know saying I hate my little sister sounds awful, and it should be wrong, but in my heart, it doesn't feel like it. It's a complicated mix of resentment, frustration, and a sense of loss for the normal family life I've never had. I remember being just 5 when she was born, a tiny thing with a world of challenges ahead of her. Since then, my life's never been just mine. It's like I've been living in her shadow, my needs always secondary. The world, at least in our house, has always revolved around her. My childhood, a blur of her needs overshadowing mine. By the time I was 8, I'd been moved out of my room to the basement. Why? Because she needed to be closer to our parents. It wasn't just a room change. It felt like I was being pushed out, made less important. My toys, the little things that brought me joy, didn't stand a chance against her. She destroyed them, one by one, and my parents? They just shrugged it off, their focus solely on her. Fast forward to when I was 15, and the pattern continued. My school gave me a Mac, a prized possession, but it too fell victim to her destructive streak. And guess who was blamed? Me, for not keeping it out of her reach. It's like I could never win. Taking care of her is expected of me, like an unspoken rule in our house. I've lost count of how many times I've had to cancel plans with friends because my parents needed me to be her caretaker. They don't say it, but it's implied. I'm the backup, always on call. It hit hard recently when I went to see the new Spider-Man movie. I turned my phone off like any decent cinema-goer would, and came back to find myself grounded. Why? Because I wasn't available at a moment's notice. This feeling of being a slave in my own home, it's suffocating. Just last week I was chosen to give a speech at a school event. I was over the moon, and my parents promised to be there. But they didn't show up, again choosing her needs over mine. It's always the same story. Whenever there's something important for me, they're too busy with her. It's like I'm invisible unless they need something for her. For years, I've bottled up these feelings, trying to be the good son, the responsible brother. But today, everything just spilled out. I was talking to my dad about college, future plans, what I'm supposed to do with my life. He said it, half-jokingly, that I should pick a degree that pays well. Why? So I can look after my sister when they're gone. It hit me like a ton of bricks. I don't know why that particular moment broke me. Maybe it was the realization that my future, just like my present, was supposed to revolve around her. I lost it. I cried. I screamed, letting out all the frustration and anger I'd kept hidden. I told them how it's always about her, how I feel like nothing more than a caretaker, expected to be her slave forever. It was like a dam bursting inside me, all those years of feeling second place just pouring out. After that, I just locked myself in my room. I've been here since, and my parents, they haven't even come to check on me. It's like they don't understand, or maybe they just don't care. And now I'm sitting here wondering, am I the asshole in this situation? For feeling this way? For wanting something more than just being her caretaker? It's a tough question, and I'm not sure I have the answer. Edit. Wow, I'm overwhelmed by the support and love from all of you. Thank you, truly. After spending hours mulling over everything, I've come to realize that my anger towards my sister isn't really about her. It's not her fault she was born this way. I've been unfair in directing my frustration at her. My parents finally tried to reach out few hours after I broke down, but honestly, I just couldn't face them. I was too raw, too filled with emotion. All I could do was cry and ask them to leave. I couldn't even form the words to express how I felt. They understood, or at least I hope they did, and they've arranged for me to stay with my grandpa for a while. It feels like the right move. I need some space, some time to process all of this, to figure out where I stand and what I want for my future. We've agreed to sit down and talk later this week. Maybe we can start to bridge this gap that's formed between us. It's going to be tough, but it's a conversation that needs to happen. I want to thank you all again for standing with me through this. Your support has been a lifeline in what's felt like a sea of confusion and hurt. Update. Just like I promised, I'm back with an update. Since my last post, which surprisingly got a lot of attention, I've been living with my grandfather. It's been a week of huge changes, both good and bad, so let me break it down for you. First off, I told my grandpa the whole story about why I broke down. He was shocked, to say the least. Turns out, no one else in the family knew how my parents were basically using me as a free caregiver for my sister. According to him, she's supposed to be getting professional care, something my parents have been neglecting. And me? I shouldn't have been put in a position to care for her, especially given her condition and the potential risks to both of us. When I told him about the whole movie theater incident, he was livid. He made it clear that I'm not to contact my parents unless he's there. He plans to meet with them first, to set things straight, and he'll be there when I eventually sit down with them. The rest of the week was an eye-opener. Other family members came around, each bringing pieces of a puzzle I didn't even know existed. They revealed that my parents have been taking money from the family under the pretense of paying for a caregiver that never existed. It's a lot to process. Despite the roughness of the week, there's been a silver lining. My extended family's support has been overwhelming. They've shown me more love and care than I've felt in a long time. My grandpa, in particular, has been amazing. He's been making up for the lost time, encouraging me to hang out with friends and do things for myself, things I've missed out on. My aunts and uncles have been incredible too, offering support and helping me get through this tough time. So this Saturday night was the big talk with my parents. To say it went badly is an understatement. They finally came clean about everything, admitting stuff that I can't even bring myself to repeat here. But what hurt the most? They didn't apologize, not even close. They still acted like I somehow owed my entire existence to being my sister's caretaker. My dad even said it outright, "You were put here to be her caretaker." Can you believe that? I wish I could say I kept my cool, but I didn't. Everything I'd learned, everything I'd been feeling, it all came boiling to the surface. I confronted them about everything, about how my sister needs professional care, about the money my dad's been taking from his sister and other stuff. But they just denied it or made lame excuses. We ended that conversation on worse terms than before, if that's even possible. I've made up my mind. Today's the last time I'll be talking to them for a long while. My grandpa and uncle, they're my rock right now. They've helped me see things clearly. I'm going back to the house today, but only to pick up my stuff. I'm moving in with my grandpa. As for my future, once I graduate high school, I'm leaving the state for college. And get this, my aunt, the one who's been unknowingly funding this whole charade, she's redirecting the money she was sending my dad to me now. Since Saturday, my parents have called me twice, not to apologize, but to ask when I'm coming back home. They just don't get it. They still don't see how much they've hurt me. So for now, I'm stepping away from all that. I need to start looking out for myself, you know? It's time for a new chapter. I've made the tough decision not to go back to my parents. It's not easy, and right now I'm feeling pretty uneasy about everything. But I think, with time, I'll come to terms with it. The rest of my family has been incredibly supportive, and it's been a huge comfort. However, the harsh reality is that I've lost my parents in all of this. It's a loss that's hard to put into words. Through this whole ordeal, I've come to a realization, something I wish I had seen earlier. I don't hate my sister. I actually love her with all my heart. The resentment I felt, it was never really towards her. She's just a kid dealing with her own challenges. It was wrong of me to project my frustrations onto her. I regret that, and I hope, in time, I can make up for it. For now, though, I need to step away, to find my own path. This is my update for now. I want to thank everyone who supported me after my original post. Your words, your understanding, it meant the world to me during a really tough time. So thank you, from the bottom of my heart. Final update. I can't thank you all enough. I wish I had the time to respond to each and every one of you, but you know, lunch breaks aren't forever. I'll give you the scoop on how the move went tonight, but for now, just know I'm incredibly grateful for all the support and kindness you've shown me. It's meant more than you can imagine. So we just got back from moving my stuff out of my parents' house. My grandpa and uncle were there every step of the way, helping me pack up my life in boxes. Now all my stuff, along with important documents like my birth certificate and social security card, are safely at my grandpa's place. It was surreal being back at the house. My parents, they were so quiet. Dad took off with my sister not long after I got there, and Mom, she just kind of hovered, silent as we moved my things. The hardest part was leaving. Mom broke down as we were about to head out. She told me she loved me, that she would miss me. That moment, it was a lot. I hugged her, said goodbye. I keep wondering, did she really mean it? After a whole week of silence, she chooses that moment to speak up. I want to believe she meant it. But for now, I've got to focus on what's ahead. Maybe there's a chance for us to reconnect in the future. I hope so. Again, thank you everyone for the advice and the love. This whole ordeal has been a mess, but your support has been a shining light through it all. Will I come back with more updates? Maybe if something big happens and you're still interested. But for now, I'm turning the page, starting a new chapter. To all of you who shared your stories with me, thank you. I hope to see you on the other side of whatever life throws at us. See you there, guys.